everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Complete It or Beat It. I'm your host, Delilah Lugo, and I'm joined by the voluptuous Dragonius, aka Elliot, and Gil Von Mustache, aka Gil. Hello, guys.
Hello.
This is not a podcast where we review a video game. This is a podcast where we talk about it in the completionist perspective. And today's game is
The Last of Us.
Oh, yeah, that was beautiful. I know, another PlayStation exclusive, which means we're going to be talking about trophies and platinums. We tried to do Minute, but then with, The Last of Us coming free to PS Plus this month and it being October, which is spooky month, we figured what better time than to do The Last of Us.
And I'm sure when you watch this in December when it's finally released.
I hope not. And we got a release date for The Last of Us 2, February 21st, 2020. So we're all about The Last of Us today. We're talking about the platinum, which means there will absolutely be spoilers. So if you have not played the game, please pause this, come back, play the game, and then you'll have fun talking about it with us. Maybe you would have platinumed it. Who knows?
We'll wait.
Who knows?
And before we move on, I want to thank PlayStationTrophies.org for helping this conversation and most of our guides for completing our platinums.
Because heaven forbid we discover this shit ourselves.
So where do we start with the trophy listing?
So I'm just going to give an overview first. The platinum is called It Can't Be For Nothing. It's 6 out of 10 difficulty rating according to PlayStation3.org. Maybe you're just great and it's a 2 out of 10. Who knows? Probably not. It'll take 40 to 70 or more hours. There are technically 0 missable trophies because there's chapter select, but it's sort of chapter select, which we'll get into later. There are several glitch trophies, and we'll talk about how to avoid those. And there are difficulty related trophies, so you have to play Survivor Plus, which is New Game Plus, on the hardest difficulty. And there's a minimum of 2 playthroughs required, because Survivor difficulty can only be unlocked after beating the game once on any difficulty. It can be easy, normal, hard. So before I talk about how to avoid the glitches, did you guys start on a normal difficulty?
Let me flash back to how many years ago was this? Because I
Yeah.
can remember that. I don't know.
Back in the days of PlayStation 3 being relevant.
I mean, I started either on easy or normal. I rarely... When there's like, say, 5 difficulties, I rarely play the middle ones if that's required. I kind of play the low ones to get used to it, and then like just the extreme hard one,
I did start on hard and then got through a bit of it, realizing, wait a minute, I'm borrowing this game from Gil. And yeah,
I don't even remember this.
Oh yeah, no, I borrowed this game from you, and I either only recently gave it back or it's still sitting in my sock drawer.
No, I have.
Okay, good, I gave it back to you.
Yeah.
This is how long it's been. But more to the point, like I started on the harder difficulty and then kind of midway through realized, yeah, I don't want to like rush through this game or feel like I'm missing out on like the story elements or get frustrated at a part and just not enjoy the overall ambiance, because that's all people raved about this game for. So I played it on the easiest difficulty just to play and experience the campaign.
I always play games on normal, unless it's a game that I've played a series of and I know I'm really good at it, like Uncharted, for example. I'm comfortable playing on hard, but this at its time was a new IP from Naughty Dog, and we all, it seems, played it on the PS3. There is a remastered version on the PS4, which I have not played. I don't know about you guys.
If I may say so, if you're going to complete it now, it's going to have to be the PS4 trophy, because there are multiplayer trophies and that server for PS3 is way done.
Yep,
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's talk about ways to avoid glitches. You basically need to download every single patch and get all of the collectibles in one playthrough. I actually didn't get it in one playthrough, but that is the best way to avoid your collectibles from glitching, because chapter select seemed to be part of the issue. Did you guys have anything like that?
I remember not having any glitches. I would have been way too frustrated if I had to like restart the game and like because of glitches. So that didn't happen for me.
Yeah,
Good.
I didn't have any game breaking bugs, which is rare because normally I break games just out of not even trying.
Yeah, see, the thing is, if you don't get all the collectibles in one playthrough and it's glitched, you still have to play the very last mission in order for the trophy to pop. So let's say you miss a collectible in chapter 1, you got to play the whole game over, which kind of sucks, but thankfully that didn't happen to any of us. And in order to unlock Survivor Plus legitimately, because there's a way to exploit it, you have to complete Survivor difficulty. So if you're doing it legit, you're playing it on, let's say, easy, normal, hard, then Survivor, and then Survivor Plus. But there's a trick that I actually didn't do. I don't know if you guys did the trick and you can speak to that. I know it's been a while. Did you guys exploit it to get Survivor Plus right away? Or did you actually play Survivor first and then Survivor Plus?
I don't really remember, but I would guess that I only did 2 playthroughs of the game.
I legitimately only did 1 playthrough of this game.
Oh,
He didn't complete this.
Yeah.
Oh, no. We'll get to why, but
Yes.
definitely. I played through it the one time, tear jerking as it was, and just kind of put it away in the sock drawer until I gave it back to Gil.
Gotcha.
So,
Well, it is ideal to play Survivor Plus with all of your weapons and abilities maxed out. It is a challenging game mode, so definitely have everything upgraded before you go into it, or else you're going to have a harder time. Nevertheless, trophy stack, yay. All games should be like that. So
Oh,
if
yeah.
you beat it on hard the first playthrough, you'll get easy and normal. And if you beat it on Survivor Plus, your second playthrough, you'll get hard plus, Survivor Plus, normal plus, easy plus.
I was just gonna say that this trophy list is it's as bare bones as you can get. You've got really just collectibles, upgrades, difficulty, like a handful of multiplayer, and conversations.
Yeah.
That's it. There's nothing special, unique, or funny trophies like Naughty Dog does with the Uncharted series. There's no like Easter egg trophies or anything like that. It's completely standard.
It's serious. Like the trophy listing kind of matches the tone of the game in that sense, where
I wouldn't imagine there to be like a Marco Polo joke in Last of Us, but
there's moments between the characters that come off as funny just because the interactions are genuine and we enjoy them. But I kind of like that the trophy listing is the way it is, even though I know we're getting ahead of myself, but like I didn't complete the platinum for this game. Just I didn't. But I like the fact that the trophies were as straightforward as they were. Because if you did want to kind of go through it and kind of go for it, glitches or mishaps with collectibles aside, it's a lot less of like run back chapter select. There's really just a lot more thought involved with how you play the game, as opposed to like an Uncharted, which we talked about last time, where you can kind of just cheese the hardest difficulty with unlimited ammo and cheats active.
And also, there's no combat related trophies. So there's no like kill 5 clickers with a brick, or, do 20 stealth kills or anything like that. Like there are.
Then a melee kill, then throw a grenade, all in a span of 15 seconds. I'm looking at you, Uncharted 4.
Yeah. And if you want to hear about that, go to our last episode 2.
Link right up there.
Yes.
One of those directions.
No, it'll literally be up above me.
Okay, fine.
And if all else fails, you can play New Game Plus Plus, which is Survivor Plus Plus, or Easy Plus Plus, or Normal Plus Plus, or Hard Plus Plus. Yeah, you can just keep doing New Game Plus to clean up if you didn't get all the upgrades. So besides, so we talked about the difficulty that you guys played. Did you get all your collectibles on your first playthrough, or do you remember cleaning up?
There's probably cleanup. Normally on the first playthrough, I want to enjoy the game and like I'll look at the trophy list ahead of time and I'll get what I can along the way. But I feel like if I'm trying to get every single collectible, that just really ruins the pacing for me. So collectible trophies are usually cleanup.
Yeah, I did a lot of cleaning up to the point where I did leak into New Game Plus Plus. It was fun. I love that game so much. It's my favorite game of all time. Fun fact. Yeah, it is.
Like that, guys. Unbiased.
But, I mean, the different collectibles, I mean, you got Firefly pendants. Firefly is one of the groups within the game. Comics, artifacts, training manuals, and that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, 85 artifacts, 30 Firefly pendants, 14 comics, and 12 training manuals.
So this is standard, look around the map, look for little tiny objects you can pick up, and you're going to have to follow a guide to get them all because it's just unfeasible for a normal human to find everything on their own. Just that's how it is with nearly every collectible list in any game.
Yeah.
Unless you're willing to put in all those hours and comb every inch of the map, it's just not happening. So if you want completion, you're following a guide at some point.
The first Gears of
They'll
War.
do X amount out of total. They'll do these days, which I appreciate.
Well, no. I meant more like how they go about doing it. So like Uncharted 4 and stuff like that. Like Naughty Dog is good about like here's a little glimmer, and you'll be able to, if you see the glimmer, do that. But there are certain games where, for example, the first Gears of War, and to a point the second, where if you were looking around the map, if you see just like a Crimson Omen marking, you know, okay, cool, there's a collectible somewhere in the general vicinity of this area.
Oh, that's
And the
cool.
omens were pretty well like marked to the point where, you know, you could just walk through a map kind of lackadaisically. Oh, okay, cool, there's an omen. Let's look around for a quick second and grab
I
that
like
while we're
that.
here.
I
I
do like that. It
love.
makes it not impossible, but still gives you like a sense of, okay, I still have to explore and find this.
Yeah,
But like,
exactly.
I recently platted Control, and that has like a lot of collectibles, maybe like 160 plus, and the trophies are, they're incremental. Get 10, 20, whatever.
Yeah.
But the highest trophies get like 120 out of these so many more collectibles, and I like that because that's something that you can do naturally over the course of a playthrough without having to follow a guide. So if there's a lot, just make me get a percentage of those.
Yeah,
That's
in
fine.
the course and in the pursuit of a platinum.
Yeah, I just want to add, I love when games mark collectibles on the map. I think Infamous Second Son did it, and The Division. I'd love to get collectibles without needing a guide.
Yeah.
So do that more.
I'm pretty
Show
sure
up.
that we have spent half of this episode talking about other games so far.
Yeah. So to go back to The Last of Us, all of these collectibles are just what they are. They don't really offer anything. For example, the comics, you can't actually read them, which I thought would have been a nice touch. You just see the cover of it. And the training manuals are actually upgrades for Joel's bonus items like Shiv durability or AoE bombs.
So yeah, some of the trophies collectively are just, craft every item, unlock all Shiv doors, fully upgrade Joel with supplements. That's just like do all of this stuff.
Yes.
Again, generic, fine, no complaints, nothing good or bad about that.
And this isn't like Uncharted, where if you grab the collectible through chapter select, you're good. Like you have to actually finish that chapter in order for it to count, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Meaning if you die, that's bad. You lose the collectible, you got to go back.
Yep.
It's really real pain in the ass. Okay, and then there's unlocking 13 Shiv doors. These Shiv doors are like filled with supplies, so it's something you want to do for gameplay purposes anyway. But you can only open Shiv doors if they're at max durability. So they're really effective against clickers. So ideally, especially on a survivor playthrough,
if the Shivs are at max durability.
Yeah, the Shivs need to be max durability. So if you use it against a clicker or another enemy, it's going to lose this durability and you won't be able to use that Shiv to open a Shiv door. So you need to preserve them. And they recommend you do it on your first playthrough because on survivor difficulty, you have really minimum amount of supplies. You need to scavenge all you need in order to get through this game because it's a survivor game.
Right.
So let's get into the miscellaneous trophies. There are not many. Like Gil said, there's no Easter eggs. But one is to craft every single item. That's a Shiv, a health kit, a Molotov cocktail, a bomb, a smoke bomb, which you'll have to do anyway to play the game. So it should happen naturally in your playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
Fully upgrade Joel with supplements / drugs, like maxing his health, crafting speed, healing speed. Shiv Master, which is part of the supplements, is not required for the trophy, but it is one of the supplements that you'll need to upgrade.
So this is, again, just very generic. Make sure you have enough resources that you gain naturally through the game in order to unlock these things. Just cut and dry.
Similarly, fully upgrade all weapons at workbenches. There's 9 weapons and 2,510 parts. And it's recommended you do upgrade the early weapons last, like the 9mm or the revolver, so that your next playthrough cleanup is quicker. Let's say you don't upgrade all the weapons, you can just go and do the first weapons that you unlock.
Because you'd need to re-unlock the weapons as you progress through the game. So
yes,
the ones you get latest are the ones that you upgrade first, so you don't need to worry about them.
And there are 37 optional conversations and 5 jokes, which I think might be Gil's favorite because he is a pun master.
I mean, the bar is low in this game. How are you supposed to pick a favorite trophy from Get All Collectibles, Fully Upgrade Joel, and
Facts.
Survivor? Yeah, one of those
Facts.
is my favorite.
I thought about Gil for all 5 of those puns because she has a pun book, and every once in a while you got to press triangle and she'll say a corny little pun and it makes you cringe or it makes you laugh, maybe, depending on if you like puns.
I don't tell dad jokes often, but when I do, he laughs.
There we go. Okay, so me and Gil completed this on the PlayStation 3. I don't know if the same trophies apply to the PlayStation 4 version. I did not look into that.
I looked it up. I think that it's the same ones.
Oh, okay, good. Very good.
if I may just say that this is Last of Us multiplayer. I think it's the first game Delilah and I ever played together.
No, that was Tomb
No?
Raider.
Tomb Raider.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
I
Yeah, this
I
is
try to block Tomb Raider multiplayer from my memory.
we've talked
Tomb-
about Tomb Raider multiplayer before on the show.
yes, it was Tomb Raider. The Last of Us was the first game that we played consistently together. So you need to survive as both factions. There's a Hunter faction and a Firefly faction. And you have to have at least one survivor in your clan for 12 weeks to survive. And if you fail that, you got to do all 12 weeks over again. You lose survivors basically when a mission pops up to improve the population. And so there's no risk missions, there's 60% population risk missions, and 100% population risk missions, meaning if you are in a 100% risk mission and you fail to complete the requirements for that mission, you have to start all 12 weeks over again, which seems really daunting. And I remember there was one point in the multiplayer where I almost did not meet the requirement, and I did it the very last minute of the match, and I almost cried. I was like, oh my goodness, thank God we were in like week 10 and I was about to lose all weeks and have to start over again. And I was already done with this game at that point because I had gotten my multiplayer fix. And I thankfully didn't get screwed over, but it's so possible to get screwed over.
So they both came out, by the way, in 2013.
Yeah, Tomb Raider in March and Last of Us in June. So you're right. Tomb Raider was probably the first one we played together.
Hey.
But for that exact reason, while you guys had a great time with multiplayer, so just for the viewers, all 8 of you,
you're putting words in my mouth. All right, it was fun, but
you guys got the platinums. You finished the multiplayer. That's
Yeah.
kind of the only thing I'm saying. From my own edict, I was very firmly in the Xbox camp. I only got the PS3 because God of War 3, because God of War is one of my favorite franchises on like Sony's platform. When I looked into and saw the multiplayer trophies, my first thought was immediately that. Outright, just that. So I'm gonna come to it where I played a few matches, and I was never a fan of PlayStation 3's like online component, because to me, coming from an Xbox environment, it just seemed very much slapped on and tacked on, because at the time it was not what we know now that the PlayStation 4 has. It was not as well put together. It wasn't as cohesive an environment as the PS4 is. And the PS4 is leaps and bounds better than the PlayStation 3. So I love it for that. And it's probably I'm going to be honest with you, it's probably one of my like hardest things to say. It's my favorite console compared to the Xbox One for this generation. I prefer the PS4 for a lot of the advancements that they've made. So I will give them that. But I never, for that reason of the platinum for this game, looked to it and said, I would like to do this because of the multiplayer trophy aspect, because you have that, like you said, you could have gotten screwed over in week 10. And at that point, like, you've invested so much time, so much energy, and then just the carpet pulled from under you. I'm not a fan of stuff like that from a trophy perspective, from a completionist perspective. It feels very not grindy. Grindy is something that is accomplished just with effort. This is very much just luck based. And
I'd call it a grind. I would disagree with that.
It's a mix of grind. Like grind is something where, you know, you play a Final Fantasy game and you level grind, you beat enemies into a wall, you RuneScape, you World of Warcraft, like those are grinds. But this was something where you are at the same time grinding for levels, you're grinding for parts, you're in the middle of a match scavenging, which is very true to the world. But at any given moment, you can be making a right turn, and be hit by a brick wall of just, I'm sorry, you lacked one piece, one component, and your entire 8, 10, 11 week endeavor is completely shot.
I mean, I'm not saying there isn't a luck component there, but I'd still call it a grind. You know, if the journeys, you know, to beat multiplayer, the 12-week thing was, you know, 1 or 2 weeks. Even if you had to do it over and over again, that's still short. You know what I mean? Like when you play multiplayer, multiplayer is something that really, it should be fun. It should be fun to play, something to play with your friends, because for the sake of it. And it is for a few matches. You know, but when you have to do that full long, how many, isn't it like 80 something matches if you're going to do it naturally for each journey, something like that?
I think so.
I'm calling that a grind. You know, even if you have to be good, it's still a grind.
So I'll just say, like, me and you were really fortunate because we had a solid clan, and we played this at launch. So we had a solid clan that really helped support us, and we were really good. We won almost every single match that we played. It was very rare that we lost. So I don't know if I would have been able to get this platinum if it wasn't for me having friends that were really good at this game, you know? And for in that sense, like, it's not really fair to people who maybe don't have friends or have to like matchmake or maybe their friends suck and they need to get good.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention, we also kind of I wouldn't call it a glitch. Was it a glitch? The whole quitting thing. Do you remember that?
It's not, yeah, it's an exploit. You could quit through the cross media bar, which there's really no cross media bar, but that's what we say anyway.
The XMB was the PlayStation 3 was like home menu of sorts.
Yeah.
So basically, leaving a match, quitting, whatever, doing that at the start of a match still makes it count towards your progression. The thing is that you're losing resources while you do it. So you would do it for like 3 or 4 matches, and then you'd have to play another match naturally, you know, to gain back some of the resources. And you can do that. You can shave down your whole time by like takes a fourth or a fifth of the time it should normally, just by playing a match, skip, playing another match, skip. So if I had to do those full matches naturally, I would not have platinumed this game. That would have just taken
What
way
would a
too
match take, like time-wise? What do you say, like 10, 15, 20
Probably.
minutes?
The supply
Probably
raid was a
20.
lot faster, so yeah, like 20 minutes maybe, depending.
For the sake of a completion, like a trophy hunting kind of experience, had it been something where it was a PvE element, where it's just, hey, try and survive as a group of people on a team and do that as one mode, and a secondary mode was just, hey, you enjoy the mechanics of this game, the sneaking element, the stealth element, the combat mechanics, here's a PvP element to it just for completely a different purpose, I could have made peace with it if they gave you the option. But because it's solely a PvP experience, which is fine, their game, they develop it how they want, I feel coming to it from a trophy hunting completionist perspective, it ruins it if you're going for it from anything but just trying to have fun. Like, if you're just trying to have fun, I definitely feel that the game mode in and of itself and the experience of multiplayer can be an enjoyable one.
Who plays video games for fun, first of all?
How
That's
dare
not
you?
why we're here.
No, that's definitely not why we're here. We are not reviewing this as a game. We are reviewing this as a completion.
Yes, and I did really enjoy the multiplayer in this game, and the first 12 weeks, my first faction run through, I did absolutely play it for fun, and then I started realizing, oh shit, there's like actually a trophy for this. I need to get serious. So by the time I did my second faction, I was definitely being more particular about what challenges I chose based on the risk. So like I would choose the easier ones if there's 100% risk. It's not that if you lose a match, you have to start over. It's that if you don't complete the challenge that you choose, which, for example, the challenges are like finish off enemies that are incapacitated, which is one of the easier ones. If you want to down with a specific weapon, or marking enemies, you can get all of the challenges on your 100% risk match and still have your population survive and lose the match. So it's less about winning and losing, and it's more about making sure that you and your team are working together for you to complete those challenges. But if all else fails, you quit through the XMB and you don't lose any of your progress. And I did this real naturally, Gil. You did it by skipping matches, which is a strategy to get through it faster, but then you do run the risk of your clan going hungry and sick and eventually dying. So you'll have to periodically play an entire match in order to, especially the 100% risk missions.
You didn't do skipping? I thought you did.
I didn't. I mean, maybe I did for my second run, but I remember the first 12 weeks doing it very naturally because I just love the multiplayer.
I'm going to make the same complaint I make with any multiplayer trophies. If I show that I can play a multiplayer match, like, I get it. You play a multiplayer match, you know what the match is like. You see your skill in it. Sure, you can get better, you can get worse. But if you just say, hey, you have to play this for X amount of time, just feels like it's padding trophy wise. If you're going to put a trophy saying, play the multiplayer, play a match. If you had trophies for specific things in multiplayer, that'd be fine. If those challenges were trophies, down an incapacitated person, kill someone with a melee. Even if you want to even put a number on that, like a reasonable 5-10 times, those are fine. I have no
Okay.
issue. But when it's gonna be like, okay, play 100 matches, it's gonna take you forever.
You can't create a multiplayer mode that feels like Oregon Trail and expect people to feel comfortable completing the game.
Oh, that hit different. Oh my god.
Yes,
Get me
I
out of
just
the Kansas City River. God damn.
with all that said, any like last thoughts before we rate this game?
The
From a
Last of
trophy perspective, the Last of Us having thoughts here would be going into the Last of Us 2, like a brief moment of trophy speculation, because if nothing else, we did the game that came after this, before this one, and you can definitely see a lot of the influence from The Last of Us on Uncharted 4, not just having Troy Baker do a voice, but also the fact that you get the conversations, the more involved world building. So I think if nothing else from that experience, I would hope going into The Last of Us 2 when that releases, Delilah,
February 21st, 2020?
when that game comes out, I think that all of us are going to be hoping for, a more concise, like fun trophy listing that maybe builds a bit more, because this is definitely a product of its time. It's definitely a product of that like early 2010s where trophy listings were still on PlayStation kind of being figured out. I believe this came out in a time where we had just recently gotten a trophy listing to work for Uncharted 1,
Yeah.
like natively. Metal Gear Solid 4 released and the box said that trophies existed, and there were none. And they didn't get
Yeah.
released until around 2014. So I will take this trophy listing with a grain of salt and say that if you are going to play this, if you are going to try and go for that completion and try and do it on the PS4 with The Last of Us Remastered, that may be a much better experience, because it is kind of like we're hoping for The Last of Us 2. It is that progression, that learning experience, that journey that you go on of a character, of a developer for a game, of a creator for these trophy listings, where let's do some quality of life, let's improve what we've built on, and let's make it more fun and fluid experience for the gamer.
To piggyback off of that, you can't earn it on PS3 like we said in the top of the show. It's impossible at this point because there are no online servers. But your best bet is the PS4. But Naughty Dog already said they're not doing multiplayer for The Last of Us 2, so we won't have to worry about that, thankfully. And as someone that loved the multiplayer and thought that this game was one of the few games that had a very solid multiplayer and a very solid story mode, I'm still happy that they're choosing to focus on just the campaign and not even bother with multiplayer, because I think it'll be a better product in the end. And it might not work now, especially with this day and age. Like, we're drowning in multiplayer games. You have Fortnite and Apex and whatever. Like, we really don't need it, and it probably wouldn't be successful in this day and age like it was back then.
Because there were so many fewer choices. I mean, name a game that's a AAA that's come out in the last like 6 months that doesn't in one way, shape, or form do a battle pass or a season pass where it's like play X amount. Destiny just started doing it. Gears of War has been doing it. You have your Apexes and your Fortnites that do it consistently season after season.
Well, actually, the way Destiny implemented it is better than I thought it would be, because I mean that comes with the expansion and DLC that you buy.
No. So I'm
You
just
have to
saying
pay extra money for that battle pass.
I'm not saying pay extra money for it, but like even like having a game that has a battle pass as a means of getting your player base to kind of reliably come back to it time and time again in a sea of games. I'm grateful, and I agree with you, Delilah. I'm very grateful to have a game that completely focuses on a single player experience, because right now those are rare. Like just a single player experience, like well thought out and true in a AAA environment.
I disagree, but okay.
Well, no, in a purely like AAA, like supermarketed environment, like solely single player experiences.
Okay.
Name me a game.
God of War.
War.
What?
God of War.
They're rare. Look how many.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
You're simply naming Sony platformers that
Breath of the Wild.
All three of those have come out in the last 2 years.
So what are you asking?
I'm saying that in the future of gaming, like that we're seeing like this, like, 2020 spreadsheet of games that are coming out, so many of them like kind of shoehorn in multiplayer as a thing and kind of deviate away unless it's a specific developer. no one realized Control came out until it came out. No one was really hyping up Control. No one was.
Game is still really good. Like, there's always going to be those people that say, "Oh, single player games are dying." No, they're not.
They're not dying, but they're more rare to find as just a single player experience that are very much popularized and talked about in the mainstream media.
That is what it is. They're not talked about in the mainstream media.
If we're talking about by mainstream media, you mean people who don't play games at all?
You mean people
yes.
who play Fortnite and Apex?
The ones that'll show up on like Fox News and CNN or whatever. Yeah, I'll give you that.
That's what I mean. So I'm sorry. Maybe I didn't.
Yeah, I thought you just meant in general. My apologies.
No, definitely not in general. Because single player experiences exist, but in terms of like quality ones that get talked about these days, you know, no one comes at you from Fox News and is just like, so that new Tomb Raider.
Yeah, if you're someone that follows games media, which I think we are to an extent, you will see the single player experiences being talked about. But in terms of like you said, Fox 5, like mainstream media, people that are playing Fortnite, you're not really gonna hear those people playing that. I mean, even me, I stream all types of games, and I'll never be popular because I'm not playing like what's new and hot, you know.
Hold up, I got a counter for you. Untitled Goose Game. Because that is making waves and not a single.
And then you get the games that are memes. You get the games that are there for the memes. Culturally,
it's a solid game.
It's a solid game, but the game is there and the game is popular because of the meme of why is this game so good?
I was not aware that one of your criteria were like, hey, this has to be a serious discussion. It's a talked about game, even going outside of, you know, just the gamer media. Like, I've seen actors, famous people like talking about this game.
I won't deny that it's super popular, but my only point was I'm really happy to see The Last of Us 2, you know, focus on just a single player aspect. That was really the fulcrum of it, because it seems like to have something like that well done is becoming a bit more hard to find, and I think all three of us can agree Naughty Dog does that really, really well.
The best.
Probably the best.
With that said, to wrap things up.
Perfect segue.
Complete or to beat it?
Gil.
Beat it. You want me to follow up on that? I'm sorry.
I was hoping so, yeah.
Listen, The Last of Us, why is this such a great game? Why is every time a list comes up of like greatest video games of all time, The Last of Us shows up on that frequently? It's the story. It is the emotions that the game makes you feel. It is the tense environments, the you know, the whole post-apocalyptic you know, feeling. Because a lot of games do post-apocalyptic, but this one really makes you feel like, hey, everything is hopeless, but there's this one shining little glimmer that you got to look for. And the trophies, I just don't think they help that. I don't think they further that at all. The strength of this game comes from the story, not from the trophies, not from the completion aspect. And I think you're going to get the most out of this game just by playing it. Mm-hmm. Simple as that.
How about you, Elliot? I think I know your answer, but flesh it out.
If we're talking purely about the memoirs of an old man playing this now in his mind from the days of PS3, I'm going to wholeheartedly say beat it. Because from the aspect of that, and this is why I mentioned it earlier, the generational thing, if you're coming at this from the PS3 days and you've played it in the past, I would say for the PS3 version, and Gil, if you want to take what I'm saying now and revise your statement, that's fine. But for me personally, if you're talking PS3, beat it. Play the story, enjoy the story, and just move on with your life. There are many games out there that enjoy and deserve a well-earned playthrough. If we're talking PS4, where multiplayer is not a necessity for platinuming the game, and where the actual console itself runs the game much better, the actual immersion level is much higher because the game runs at such a more well-designed frame rate for the newer hardware. Not that it didn't run good on PS3, but it will run better on the PS4 for the better and more enhanced experience that comes with this game. And we're not even talking about the DLC. We're not even talking about Left Behind. We're just talking the main game. I would wholeheartedly say complete it on PS4.
Elliot, the multiplayer trophies are still there. So is that still a complete it?
Yeah, just beat it. Yeah, just beat it.
That's why I said
beat it. Yeah, no, I'm looking it up. Yeah, multiplayers. Yeah, it can't be for nothing. It can't be for nothing. And not for nothing, but if there's multiplayer, that's a SpongeBob meme. All right, I'm out.
So Elliot kind of asked me this question on Facebook before we even recorded, and I said complete it because The Last of Us tugs at my heartstrings. It's my favorite game of all time. I had a wonderful multiplayer experience, and like I said before, there's barely any games out there that have a solid multiplayer and a solid single player experience. But when I think back on The Last of Us and why it's my favorite game of all time, it had nothing to do with any of the trophies that I earned. Because to be honest, I finished this game with like 7% of the trophies, which I think everyone does because a lot of it is progression based and you'll need to play your second playthrough to get more trophies. I ended the game with 7% of the trophies, and I cried like 5 times in that game, and I left that game like, holy shit, what a freaking experience. So with that said, if you love multiplayer, sure, complete it, but beat it. That's my final one. Beat it. Unanimous, beat it.
All right, guys, so the first unanimous beat it from us. The next game you'll have us looking through is going to be Minute. We are finally going to get around to doing that one. If you guys are watching this in the month of October, again, feel free to go through PlayStation Plus and download and play The Last of Us Remastered. Whether you complete it or beat it, you know our decision. Make yours. But I've been Dragonius, that's been Gil, that's been Delilah, and, wait. The fuck? You guys hear that?
What the fuck?